Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a makeup look based on the book Kill the Boy Band. So it's going to be pink and black inspired. And while I do that, I'm just going to chat about the book and what I thought of it. Shout out to my friend Elaine, who I've mentioned on this channel several times before. She's the real reason I'm doing this. She pretty much encouraged me to make this video and was like, you don't need to do like a typical like literary review. You can just talk about what you liked. And I was like, you know what? I sure can. And also I kind of wanted to do it just because I feel like I don't do pink makeup looks very much. And I was hoping this would push me out of my comfort zone. So we're going to do that. I'm just going to do my base really quick, starting off with just all my normal stuff. I'm using the Benefit POREfessional as primer, and then I'm gonna jump into my Too Faced Born This Way foundation and concealer, and Tarte Shape Tape I think I will also be using as concealer. Anyways, everything I'm using will be listed in the description down below. I'm hoping I can do this video justice while not going too quickly because I am kind of on a deadline. My mom is stopping by to drop off cake because my birthday is next week, but I can't have cake after the 19th because I'm starting my new food plan. So she's dropping by to give me cake a little bit early, and so I have to be done before she gets here. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, so okay, I think I already talked about Kill the Boy Band in my Queer Eye update in the sense that I mentioned that I really enjoyed it, but I'm gonna kind of dive into why. So I think the one thing is I was really, when I looked up the description of the book, I had to look up who wrote it because it's the kind of book that I think would not have worked had it been written by, I want to say someone who was like not at all familiar with like fan communities, and especially if it had been written by a man who is not familiar with like fan communities. I think it would have backfired. And the reason why I really like the book is because you can tell it comes from someone who is intimately familiar with the concept of quote unquote standing and fan culture, and just like really the obsessiveness that grips you when you're like 16 years old and in love with a band or a TV show or an actor or like whatever, you know? I'm gonna move my hair out of the way. These earrings are so fun, I love them. My skin is like straight up just like not looking good these days. It's like really not having a good time. So okay, the premise of the book is basically, it's about 4 girls. You don't actually get the name of the main character. The book is like in first person, so you never get her name, and throughout the book she goes by a lot of different names. Her, like the people who know her actual name never say it, and the character she introduces herself to, she's always using, she never uses her real name. And the one that sticks out to me like right now is like the very last one she uses. I believe she uses Sloane, she introduces herself to someone as Sloane Peterson, which is the girl in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I believe. I've never actually finished that movie, so, but I think that's her name. Anyways, that's what she introduces herself to as someone, and so basically all of her names are like references. But so the premise of the story is basically it's about these 4 girls, and they're all fans of this band called the Ruperts, which is like very clearly meant to be, also I have booster juice, so you'll see me drinking that. But the Ruperts are very obviously meant to be like playing off of One Direction. They're British, they're called the Ruperts because they're all named Rupert, but they're British and each of them has their shtick, and there's like, you know, the cute one, the bad boy, the ugly one who can't sing and no one understands why he's in the band. And like, while I disagree with those assessments being about Louis Tomlinson, that is what a lot of people have said about him in the past. So like, it's very obvious the author's trying to like make One Direction comparisons, which again, if you like are all familiar with One Direction, it's funny because you get like the little things, and if you don't, I'm sure it's like still entertaining. It's just like some of the references are just don't hit probably. So they're all called the Ruperts, and so the premise of these girls is like they're doing the fangirl thing where they're trying to meet them because they're having an appearance on a show, and they go to town and like line up. And the thing is, the 4 girls, they each kind of have their own like talents, quote unquote. So like the main girl, she's just like a nice girl, and you find out as the more the book goes on, she's kind of more and more of like an unreliable narrator. And so the end of the book is kind of, you sort of have to decide for yourself if you actually do believe everything she says. But like she starts out as being like the, you know, the nice character, the one you like really trust to be telling the truth. And she seems a little more like self-aware than the rest of the girls. Then you have Isabel, who is like, she runs a gossip website. She's very cutthroat. She's kind of scary. Erin, who's like the leader of the group and kind of has like the popular girl energy in the sense that like she very clearly like, attracts people to her. The narrator like doesn't seem to like understand why Erin is her friend, but is very much like, because Erin is my friend, I like have much higher status than I would otherwise, and I'm protected in a way that I wouldn't be otherwise in like the high school hierarchy. And there's Apple. So the character of Apple is interesting because like I really wanted to like what they were doing with her, because her name is Apple. She's adopted. She's Chinese, but she I guess like was like adopted by like a white family or something. But her character just really veers strongly into fat shaming in a way that I struggle to enjoy. Like I understood Apple's narrative purpose, but I was not like happy about it, you know? I'm taking my Laura Mercier setting powder and I'm just gonna set like under my eyes where I just put like concealer. It's like way more powder than I wanted. So it's kind of like fat shaming, which I didn't love. The premise of the book is basically they book a room in a hotel because that's the only way they can get close to the Ruperts, because they're not letting fangirls into the hotel obviously, but they're like, well, if we have a room, they have to let us in. So they get a room in the hotel and then they end up accidentally kidnapping one of the Ruperts. Rupert P, the ugliest one, like the not talented one. And the way they do it is Apple, you know, the fat girl who has like the shitty taste, she sees him in a hallway and gets so excited she like barrels into him, and because she's so big, she like knocks him out and then she drags him into their hotel room. So like for instance, it's a dark comedy, so a lot of the stuff is like very exaggerated. It's kind of like dark, It's obviously not like everyone in the story, including the girls, is like some highly shitty things, but I still kind of like wish she'd had a little bit more character development beyond just like fat jokes. And you know, and I get that it's like, I think I understood what she was trying to do, the author. I think she was trying to show that like more of the narrator's personality, that like she's not this like perfect girl who's like super kind the way she thinks of herself. And you know, she's coming at it from like a teenage angle of like, when you're a teenager, you do kind of judge your peers a little bit. So like, I think that's what she was trying to do, but it just like, I didn't love it. This is gonna be a lot more interesting once I am able to, once I have my base down, I'm gonna be able to talk a little more consistently. I just have to really concentrate on my base. I'm trying to get it done fast. But anyways, I'm using my KVD Shade and Light to just like bring some color back to my face. So I didn't like the fat jokes, and just the fact that like, you know, the fat girl was like obviously the most incompetent one in the group, and she had the shittiest taste in the guys, and like, it was just weird. But anyway, so they kidnap this guy and they have him in the room, and over the course of the book, a lot of stuff happens. And the TLDR is, one, the said Rupert ends up dead, but no one knows how he died. No one knows if someone killed him, or if it was an accident, or if it wasn't one of the girls at all. And again, because like I said, Sloane becomes more and more of like a unreliable narrator. Did I mention that I'm doing this whole look based on the cover of the book? Like, I'm doing black and pink because the book cover is black and pink. But anyway, Sloane becomes more and more of like an unreliable narrator. You don't really seem to know like how much of her story is true. Like, all her friends end up thinking she's the one who might have done the killing, because you find this out really late in the game that she, spoiler alert, she has a history of like making things up in her head and like hallucinating and stuff. So this is a very big brush that's probably too big for blush. But anyways, for blush, I'm using this Colourpop. It's the Sailor Moon blush in Cat's Eye. It's like this bright pink. And I'm really gonna lay on the blush because I really want the pink to pop. Like, I want it to be very clear I'm wearing. We're going full pink today. But anyway, so you spend a lot of the book, one, figuring out, you know, wondering what these girls are gonna do with this like pop star that they've captured, and two, a lot of it is the narrator kind of trying to persuade her friends to let it go, because again, she like really presents herself and like positions herself as being like more sane than the rest of them and being more moral, and like, you know, she would never actually do this, and her friends did it without her permission. And so she really positions herself as being like different, which is I think what every stan does. Like, you're like, yeah, you're technically part of it, but you're like doing it the right way, in the normal way, in the like non-invasive way, when it's like inherently kind of invasive. Okay, well, I look pink, I think. I'm like dragging it up a little bit into my temples because I feel like that's what all the cool kids are doing on like TikTok. And I think it looks really cool, like the blending your blush like up. Usually it's like a lot brighter of a blush, but yeah, that's kind of fun. That's pink. And then for my highlight, I'm just gonna use this Wet n Wild's Megaglo highlighting powder in the shade Precious Petals. It's like a kind of rose goldy sort of color. I was trying to find a highlight that was a little pinker, but like I could not find one, because again, I usually steer clear of pink anything. I like the color, I just don't think it usually looks very good on me, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I can pull off pink, who knows, we'll find out. Brand new Fix Plus. I'm just gonna do this first because why not? You know the Colourpop eyebrow gel I like to use in a lot of my videos? I said to get it in like color and see if I like that. It might be too much for me though. I got this in soft black, which is like the darkest color they have, I think. But also like, I can't conceive of a world where people have darker brows than me, so I figured this is probably the one. It's like low-key so intense though. You know what? I like that. Success. Brows done. Okay, sorry. I feel like I haven't been talking because I've been trying to concentrate on my base, but I feel like now that it's done, I can actually do the eyes and take a little more time with that and thus be a little bit slower. So I'm just gonna put my eye primer on. It's the Urban Decay Primer Potion in Eden, as usual. Tried and true. So anyways, the book kind of positions itself like as a sort of what happened type of thing, where you're trying to figure out, you know, first how they're gonna get out of this and how they're gonna like return this boy to his band, because obviously like you can't keep him forever, and it's like once they have him, it's sort of one of those things where you can't just like let him go, because now he knows who they are, and it's a whole thing. And then eventually it becomes like, how did he die? Who killed him? And it's like, it's interesting because it's like a dark comedy slash mystery, so it's just like really like obviously exaggerated look into fan culture, which I thought was very fun. And sorry, I like saved a quote because I think there's like a really good quote in this, because what I like is like the whole reason it's called Kill the Boy Band is because Aaron, there's a whole thing that comes out later in the book, and like obviously I feel like if I haven't mentioned this at the beginning, like there's gonna be spoilers here, but there's a whole thing like near the end of the book where you realize Aaron's not actually here because she loves the band, and that she's actually hated the band for a really long time, and the protagonist or the narrator just never realized it. And so she's talking to Aaron because she's like, Aaron's my best friend, like how could she not tell me all of this stuff? And Aaron basically is like, you never noticed that I stopped caring about the band, and like you were always talking about them, and I kind of pulled myself back. And she basically goes on to say that like she went to see one of their shows alone in a different country without the narrator, and at that show she like got backstage and like took her clothes off and like went into like the dressing room of the Ruperts and like waited for her favorite Rupert to come in the room, and he did. And it's like definitely one of those things where it's like very obviously like, even if in the moment she wanted it, it was like not something he should have at all like indulged. It was very obviously like inappropriate sexual conduct to be having with like a minor. Like I think at the time in the book she's like 15 or 16, so it's obviously like, super inappropriate. And not only does he like take advantage of that, he like takes photos of her and then like says he's gonna share them with all the other Ruperts. And like that really, she's like a kid and she basically is like, hey, like please don't do this, delete the photos. And he doesn't listen, he does it anyways, and all the other Ruperts come in and like, you know, make fun of her. And it's like this obviously horrible thing that's also in itself a commentary on like how a lot of the times these really big acts, and not even big ones, like I've seen like small shitty bands do this too. They like very obviously will take advantage of their fan base and the love that those teenage girls will put in them, and they'll take advantage of it and really manipulate it in a really shitty way, and obviously like not be responsible at all with like their power or their platform or their privilege, and really not acknowledge the power differentials and just be like, use it to be just really like skeevy, right? And so that in itself is kind of like a commentary that I actually kind of wish they dove into more, but that's like not what the book itself was about, but it was just like a very interesting like touch that they had going there. I'm just using the Colourpop Ooh La La palette. It's like their pink palette. So like I thought that was pretty interesting. But so ever since that happened, obviously like Erin like no longer like liked the band, and in fact it became her whole mission to like kill the boy band, like metaphorically is what she wanted to do. And so she not only was content to like no longer quote unquote stan, she wanted to like destroy like the quote unquote institution of like the boy band and the concept of standing. And basically she was like, her whole motivation becomes like, because teenage girls have so much passion, they should be using this passion for better things and more productive things, and not these shitty, in her perspective, shitty people that don't deserve it and don't care about them and like will take advantage. I'm using soft core, by the way, on my crease. And so there's a really good quote here that I feel like really emphasizes like a lot of what I've noticed like over the years of being in fandom, and how quickly things can go from like people going from like absolutely loving and willing to like straight up die for like these people to absolutely shredding them on the internet. So this is a quote from the book. And all I saw was hate, because after a while, obsession without any payoff can breed it. Hatred. The boys will inevitably disappoint you somehow. You think a girl that they date isn't worthy of them. You think their songs could be better and that their relevance is weak. You begin to wonder why you still care so much, why you still fight their battles for them over Twitter while they themselves are sipping pina coladas on some Mexican beach. And you realize that at some point your obsession is mostly perfunctory. You sold your soul to it, and now you open up Tumblr and scroll because it's hardwired in you to do it. If you can just get one more piece of info, one more pic, one more scoop, it'll fill that empty feeling in you that you dug unbeknownst in the first place. And I thought that was a really good quote. It like really resonated with me in my experiences of not only like standing and like falling in and out of love with stuff, but also just the concept of like why I do it in the first place. And like it really does fill a void, and I feel like a lot of people like try to avoid that. But I touched on this in my, sorry, not to toot my own horn, I like talked about stan culture a lot in my stan culture video that I will pop up somewhere on the screen. But it is one of those things where it's very easy to go from loving something to like absolutely despising it, especially if there's no payoff, or you like start becoming disillusioned with what you once loved. And it's really, I think, hard to just walk away, so you have to give yourself a reason to walk away. And so a lot of the times you start looking for reasons to be upset and to kind of justify walking away from something that you initially had put so much passion into, because you don't want to just be like, oh, I'm bored of it now, because you don't want all that time you put in to be like wasted effort. So it's better to be like, well, I'm moving away because it's the moral thing to do, because they're shitty and they're terrible and I don't like them anymore. And that's also why I feel like almost like ex-fans of things are almost way harsher than people that were never fans in the first place. I'm taking the color Sandbar, and I'm just gonna put that on my lid, and I'm just gonna like pack it on to really try to get as much color payoff as I possibly can. The other thing I really thought was funny in the book was at the very end, where they're talking about like, you know, how none of them stan the Ruperts anymore, and they've all just kind of moved on with their lives, and they're like not really friends anymore, because also the end of the book and the whole experience of like kidnapping the Rupert and one of them dying and all that, it kind of like, for reasons that they kind of go into in the book, it really like destroys all of their friendships, and they all kind of like drift apart and stuff. But oh, this is so fun. I'm having such a delightful time with this color. I'm about to do something that's kind of risky, because again, this is gonna be black and white, so or black and pink, so I'm gonna take some black and start working that into the outer corners. I'm grabbing this Tarte Maneater palette, and I'm just gonna use Catcall, which is this like really dark black in the corner. I'm gonna place it and then blend it out with a different color. It's so easy to go off the rails with black, which is why you have to like really, at least for me, like work with really slowly, because it's so easy to just like fuck up everything you've done. I'm so scared. Just like muddy everything, you know? Ooh, actually, I kind of like what's happening here. What if I just like took the black? Oh, this is delightful. I'm having a great time. This is looking really messy, but I have to have faith that it's gonna come together, because I feel like a lot of really good makeup looks start out messy and then eventually come together. I'm gonna keep the faith that I can sort this out. But yeah, I thought it was really funny. So after like their relationships all kind of fizzle out and they all stop caring about the Ruperts, the narrator is kind of talking about like where all the girls are now, and she talks about, again, Apple, the one who's like the fat girl who's obsessed with the ugliest Rupert. She switches to liking a band called 6 Stages of Grief, which I just thought was really funny and really clever, because it's so obviously like a reference to 5 Seconds of Summer. And as someone who is like very hardcore a quote unquote 5 sauce stan, I just thought it was really funny. This is why I never work with blacks. Like they get so messy so quickly, and like for what reason? It is kind of fun though, you know? I don't think this is like the greatest makeup look in the world, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. Anyways, might as well commit and go to the other side. I know what I'm doing better on this side now though, so at least I can commit to it a little better. So yeah, the 6 seconds of grief thing I thought was very funny. Oh, a whole other element that I thought was really interesting. I don't know if this is meant to be like an intentional piece of commentary, but the narrator really wants to like come clean about everything that happened, especially because once the Rupert has died, his stupid bandmates basically, to try to make it seem like a suicide, they throw his body off of the roof of the hotel. Again, extremely absurd, over the top book. Like very much like exaggerates everything up to 10, but so they throw him off a roof, and thus they all get charged with like, I think like interfering with a dead body or whatever the charge might actually like technically be called. And so the narrator really wants to help clear the name of the one Rupert that she really likes, and who also happened to not be involved with that because according to her, he was with her. And because the narration gets a little more unreliable near the end, you don't actually know if this is true or if she's making it up, but she goes to the police and tells the whole story. Like the whole book is basically her telling her story to the cops or to a police officer, and he doesn't believe her and then berates her and is like, you know, you stupid teen girls, like a bunch of you come in here telling me weird stories, trying to clear the names of whatever Ruperts are your favorite, like get a life, blah blah. And it's just like interesting the way, I don't know, I just feel like the book really tackles a lot of different opinions about fan culture well, and doesn't really like it doesn't really call any of them right or wrong, but it also doesn't like endorse fan behavior, but it also doesn't like penalize teenagers for being teenagers, which I really appreciated because I'm very defensive of teenage girls and their right to do what makes them happy, even if that's like perceived as stupid by the mainstream, because oftentimes teenage girls are the trendsetters, you know, like Beatlemania is like the perfect example of like teenage girls were into the Beatles first and now they're like this bastion of, you know, music. I actually really like how this eye turned out, and I think that's just because I was a little more deliberate with my color placing. I'm gonna try to fix this one, but don't hold your breath. I was originally gonna use eyeliner on this look and I don't really want to do it. But yeah, so I thought the whole way of like the police officer listened to her whole spiel and like didn't even bother, not even just like he didn't believe her. He didn't bother to like really fact check anything she was saying, and also got really upset and was like, why did you waste so much of my time telling me this story? Like you took too long to tell it. You could have just told me in like 10 minutes or less and not wasted so much of my time. And again, it kind of speaks to, I don't think it was meant to be like a commentary on the police, but it does speak to A, the police, but also B, the way that the opinions and thoughts of teenage girls are always dismissed, and their opinions are not even like ever worth considering by authority figures and adults, and especially adult men particularly, like, you know, like stuff that teen girls like because teen girls like it is so devalued, and that's like very frustrating, I think. You know, good enough for me, frankly. I don't think it's getting any better. I'm just gonna blend a little bit. I think this one just looks better because the placement was so much more deliberate, and so the lines just look better. This one just looks sloppy because I was not trying to do what was happening here, and it just happened accidentally, you know? So I just like the placement better. So I'm taking a little bit of Opulent because there's a bit of like a shimmer to that, and I'm just gonna put it on top. And I'm gonna grab Poodle and just like blend that out to my brow bone. I'm just like freestyling now. I don't actually know what's happening, but I'm just like layering colors. I've mostly been using this row, these 3 colors. I've been using Opulent, Sandbar, and Poodle, and just like layering them on top of the black to sort of gradient it a bit. But yeah, I think just the reason I like the book so much is because it came from such an obvious place of love. And had it not come from that place, I think I would have been very upset with it. I think the exact same plot in the hands of someone who didn't understand or appreciate fangirls would have gone horribly. So I'm glad that didn't happen. I have so much fallout on my eyes. And then I'm gonna take Tickled and put that in my inner corner. And then I think I'm gonna put Moonstruck in my inner corner too. I just think it needs a little more pop. I'm gonna do Moonstruck, and then I'm gonna put Tickled like on top as like a topper. And then I'm gonna grab Sandbar again and just go like under my lash line to just like really tie it all together. Ow, that hurt. This is really fun. I'm sorry if like this is like a really incoherent video. I hope you like the makeup look. I feel like I'm not actually talking about the book as much as I probably should, but I'm having a lot of fun with this makeup look. See, I like when I do makeup looks inspired by stuff because I really think it pushes me like out of my comfort zone and makes me do like not the same basic like copper smoky eye that I do every day. I'm like so obsessed with this, you guys. I think it looks so fun. It looks so good. Oh, the other thing I have is, so I got these Colourpop face stamps. One of them's a moon, one of them's a heart, one of them's a star. I kind of want to use the stars because I feel like, you know, boy bands, stars. I could probably do hearts too, but I want to save the heart for another day. And I think there are stars on the cover of the book actually, or on one of the versions too. So I think stars work. Try to figure out how I want to do this. Like, should I just do one under each eye? I think that's a safe bet. I also have like a freckle stick and glitter, but I don't want to be too over the top. So I think I'm just gonna leave it at the stars and save the glitter and the freckles for another day. Oh no, this is so stressful. The placement has to be so right. Maybe I should practice on like my hand or something, or oh god. All right, I've practiced a couple times on a napkin and I think I understand placement now. Yeah, I think just like straight under my eyes. Ah! Oh no. It left the circle. Oh shit. Why didn't it do that on the napkins? Boo. Yeah, I don't know why it leaves a circle on your skin. Am I doing this wrong? That's okay. I'll take it. I think it's fun. Shitty circle and all. But see, like when I did it on the napkin, it didn't do it that any at all. Am I just like positioned? I don't know what's like why it's doing that to me. It probably just has something to do with the angle that it's going on my face with. Actually, I'm gonna see if I can fix this. Give me 2 seconds. I tried to fix it, but I can't fix it because I'm not that skilled of a makeup person, and that's okay. I tried. I'm just annoyed because like, look how cute they look on the fucking napkin I've been using to test on. Oh well, you win some, you lose some. And then I use this Marc Jacobs Highliner in the shade Popular in my lower lash line. And I'm gonna grab this Kat Von D tattoo liner and do a little bit of upper eyeliner. And I'm gonna put this in my waterline too. I think the eyes, despite how weird the stamp came out, look really cute. But yeah, I just really liked the book because I'm just gonna put on some Benefit Roller Lash. It was just funny. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. It was just like a very entertaining read that also was like, I didn't feel like it was punching down. Like it just felt like an exaggerated version of what already goes on online. Like it just felt observational based on her own experiences. And as someone who has very similar sentiments about fan culture and the way online fan communities operate now, it was kind of nice to see someone on the same page and like obviously poking fun from a place of love. Also, this look would look so much better with falsies, but I just am not a falsies kind of gal. I don't know how to put them on, so we're not doing that today. Okay, I'm just gonna read another quote. I guess me reviewing stuff is just me reading quotes too, but like this is another one that I really liked because again, I feel like it sums up why, like it just comes into a place of understanding why fangirls are a thing and like why they do what they do, you know? Other people may have seen fangirls as crazy teenage girls obsessed with a fad, but they couldn't understand the small but important joy you can get from indulging in these fandoms. They didn't understand that a new gif of Rupert K grinning at you could be the difference between a crap day and a beautiful one. They didn't get that friendships that formed, the community of people who shared the same joy. Maybe it was an obsession, but it was also happiness, an escape from the suckiness of everyday life. And when you find something that makes you happy and giddy and excited every day, us fangirls know the truth that everyone else seems to have forgotten. You hold on to that joy tenaciously for as long as you can, because it's rare to get excited about anything these days. Ask your parents. And I don't know, like that resonates with me because yeah, it's like, it is stupid and ultimately like doesn't add up to anything. Like, but like, why does that matter? You know, like why do people have to justify their joy or their excitement? And I think, again, I've mentioned this before, I think boundaries need to be respected. I think lines often get crossed. And I think that kind of behavior can and should be called out, which I think is what this book was doing, but it was also not like shaming the broader community. Like Erin's whole perspective of we need to like end the concept of the boy band and we have to end the concept of like being a fan of anything in general. Like that concept was also, I feel like, frowned upon by the narrative and like obviously ultimately shut down as like not a productive one either and not a realistic one. Like I get so excited, like I'm 25, almost 26 years old, and getting back into Supernatural, something that got me through a lot of like really hard times when I was like 14, 15, 16 years old, getting into that again has just really like like given me like just a rebirth of like joy for just like, you know, just like these characters that I love and like grew up with basically. I think the way you stand stuff as an adult is so different from the way you do it as a teenage girl because you have like the experience and a little more self-control. But I think that feeling of joy is like one that ultimately I don't think you have to let go of the older you get. And I think now, like being an adult, I can temper it and be realistic with it. But I would never tell that girl who was like 16 years old and like convinced, when I was 17 years old, I literally made a PowerPoint presentation about how I was gonna marry Zayn from One Direction. And it was like based on like little snippets of things I had picked out in interviews that I was like, look at all these reasons why we're compatible. And I would like, it was like a whole list of reasons. And then it was also like reasons why my parents would like him. And it was like a whole thing of like, it was like so unrealistic, but it was just me justifying it to myself, but also justifying it to other people that this was like a plausible thing. And it was like, it was so silly. And like, but like looking back on it, I'm not ashamed of that girl. Like I love her. Like she's just like a little excited thing. And I like, am so proud of her and like how far she's come, and like I'm so glad she had that, you know, like she had that outlet. And it was stupid and it was silly and it was like ridiculous and not productive, but it was like, it was nice. It was like a scrap of joy in a time where I really needed joy. And like my teenage years were some of the hardest of my life. I was going through a lot of things like on a personal level and on like just like a level of things that were outside of my control that were really affecting me and my set situation, which is not ideal. And yeah, standing One Direction was a big deal for me, okay? Like I don't know. It was like, it's nice. It's nice to be able to really recognize that like fan culture has its evils, but is also just like such a fun, important thing for girls. And like, I hope girls never lose that. I hope, and I don't think they will. Like, I think teenage girls are the strongest fucking bitches in the world. Like, society can like shames them so much and they don't give a crap and they're never gonna give a crap, you know? Like, nothing can touch you when you're 16 and you have the power of like fandom on your side. I really do mean this. Here's another quote that kind of speaks to what I just said that I really do like. The joy you find as a teen, however frivolous and dumb, is pure and meaningful. It doesn't matter that it might ferment and taste different when you're older. That's the whole point of being a teenager, not worrying about the future. And that's true. you know? I was very like standing One Direction, making those stupid PowerPoint presentations and just like imagining my dream wedding to like Zayn Malik was like, it was dumb, it was frivolous, it was like, I didn't care, you know? It was just fun. It was fun and it was pure and it was sweet. And it was like, I don't know, I think when boundaries are followed, there's nothing wrong with it, you know? Like I was never creepy about it, I never messaged him on Twitter, I never said anything weird. I just like stayed in my own lane and had like my own like mental daydream fantasy lands. And it was just fun. It was fun and it was just nice. And like for me especially, like yeah, it was a lot of projection. Like I projected a lot of things onto him, and it was like, for me it was such a big deal to see like a like semi-practicing kind of casual Muslim making it big in media too. Like that was something that I thought was a really big deal, and it was just like I got so much out of that experience. Like I would never, like I cringe about I cringe about it sometimes, but in the reality, like I would never change that. I would never take that back. I would never, like I used to be, like before I got into One Direction, I was that kind of person that like I was very much like not like other girls and like shaming other girls. I really let go of that with One Direction. I think ultimately I was happier for it. Here I have a final quote, and then I'm gonna do my lips and we're gonna wrap this video up. Did I love them because they were the only boys in my life who consistently told me I was beautiful? Probably. I love the Ruperts for who they were, sure, but I mostly love them for how they made me feel, which was happy. The Ruperts made me happy. The simplest thing to be in the world, and the hardest. And again, like it's like, I don't know, it's very difficult to be a teenage girl, I think. And then it's like different. It's difficult in a way that like is hard to explain, because sure, you might not have all the problems you're gonna have as an adult, but you're going through a lot and your brain is like haywire, and it's like you gotta take the simple joys out of stuff, you know? And I don't know if this video is interesting to anybody, but I just really like the book, and I think if you like dark humor and in any way like consider yourself a fan of anything, I would check it out, because it's good. It's a good time. Anyways, so the lip liner that I'm wearing is Bite's lip liner in 94. I think they discontinued these, which sucks because they're really good. I really gotta wrap this up. My mom is like almost here. I have a bunch of shades here and I don't actually know what is gonna look best. I'm gonna swatch them real quick. This is Colourpop's Heart On, which is like, is that pink or purple? It's kind of pinky. I might do that. I have Colourpop's Jasmine, which is a luxe lipstick. KVD's Mother. Ooh, I kind of like that. I might do that one actually. That's Mother right there. And it's kind of matte, which I do like. Cinderella, which is kind of pale. You have these L'Oreal Infallibles in 316 and 318. Oh, I don't like the texture of those at all. That one's like a very bright kind of fun neon though. Let's see guys, what do we think? Honestly, I think I'm gonna go with this Colourpop Heart On Lippy Stick. I think it's the most correct color. Oh, perfect. The blends in right with the lip liner. So beautiful. Oh, I love this. I'm obsessed with this. Okay, cool. I'm gonna put on my setting spray, Urban Decay All Nighter as usual. That's it guys, this is the look. I hope you guys liked it. If this video was interesting anyway, I'm sorry I'm not like the best book reviewer. I was just mostly rambling about like different parts of the book that I liked. Again, I recommend it. If you like young adult novels, if you like have any interest in fan culture, if you like dark comedy, it was a good time. It was a pretty quick read, frankly. I read it in 2 sessions, so if you read consistently, you can probably get through it a lot faster than I did. This is such a different look for me, but I'm kind of having a good time. I kind of feel very funky fresh about it. Anyways, all right, I'm gonna wrap this up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I post videos every Wednesday, so if you wanted to subscribe, that'd be awesome. If you liked this, you can hit the thumbs up down below. And if you want to follow me on other social media platforms, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And with that, I will see you guys next week. Bye!